always like to have important health conversations on Wellness Wednesday, and this one is no different. Paralympian Danielle Campo faced one of her toughest battles a few years ago when she was hospitalized for sepsis after giving birth to her third child.
And September is Sepsis Awareness Month, and Danielle joins us live this morning to talk about the condition that doctors said she had a 10% chance of surviving. Danielle, so great to see you. Good morning, and thank you for joining us. I'm embarrassed to say that it was only yesterday that I learned what sepsis was, so I think September is a perfect time for people to know about what sepsis is, to raise awareness. Let's go to your story, though. 10% chance of living. You developed sepsis after the birth of your third child. You were in a coma in the hospital for 5 months. That must have been a terrifying situation. Talk about what sepsis is and how you came to develop it.
Yeah, and Jen, don't be embarrassed. I didn't know about what sepsis was until I was septic. So it is a horrible infection that moves quickly. And for me, it came after several surgeries that I had after I had my daughter. And the infection gets into that blood and just goes. And so I went back to the hospital, not feeling well, having difficult breathing. And my husband describes it as pure medical chaos. They were working as quickly as they could. And then my family was called in to say goodbye, not once, but 3 times. And only a 10% chance of survival. And I'm here today because of our amazing community rallying behind and lighting candles and praying, but a medical team that just kept trying to figure out what antibiotics are going to work. And that's the trick with sepsis, is you got to get ahead of it before it starts shutting down all of your organs.
So it sounds to me, Danielle, like every case almost is unique and different, and the doctors are kind of like learning on the fly about A, the patient, and B, how to treat it. Do you have a sense of kind of the efforts they went to? I mean, you said, 3 different times they called in your family to say the goodbyes.
Our medical team from Windsor to London were incredible. They went through every possible effort. I remember as I was slowly getting better, they were constantly testing my blood, sending it to the lab, figuring out if these antibiotics are responding, or do we have to hit it harder, or what's going on. So it's always a lot of consultation, a lot of talking, a lot of figuring it out. But it's scary because it can go that quick that you think you're ahead of it and then you're not.
Yeah, and Danielle, how would people know if they are susceptible to this, if they might be developing it? What are some of the early signs that you experienced? I mean, I know that you had some surgery, so is that always kind of a prerequisite that if you recently had surgery and you start experiencing some symptoms, you need to be on the lookout?
Yeah, I never knew even that, that was something. And I think it's really important to advocate for yourself, how you're feeling, continuing to talk to your medical team. I went home from the hospital, and I knew I was trusting my gut. Something didn't feel right. And then obviously when I had trouble breathing, I said to my husband, we got to go back. I know we fight so hard to get out of that hospital. What I've learned from all of this is really trust your body and don't be afraid to say, hey, wait, this doesn't feel right. Or this is, I just don't feel good. For me, I never got fevers. So it was difficult for my medical team to be on the lookout for this because I never had a fever. And so that is one of, the signs.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No,
Danielle, I'm curious, though, what is life like now for you? Is this something that you are still dealing with? Will you be dealing with this for the rest of your life, or are you now considered sort of sepsis-free? What's that like?
Yeah, so the infection is gone, and we celebrated when we heard those words, but it's never life after sepsis, it's life with sepsis. So I have to be careful with any kind of infection, even something as simple as an ingrown toenail or, I wear contacts. So making sure that the infection's not getting in, and then you're always communicating with your medical team, hey, this doesn't feel right, and making sure you're ahead of it.
Yeah, it's so important to stay ahead of it and be your own advocate. This is a terrifying disease affecting 20% of people globally in terms of death. Danielle Campo, thanks so much for joining us and sharing your story. Wish you the best of luck, and thank you again.
Thanks, Danielle.
Thank you. Thank you guys so much, and thanks for these Wellness Wednesdays.
Absolutely.
So great.
Thank you.
Great
Thank
conversation
you.
there. Okay, we'll be back right after this here on CP24 Breakfast with your headlines.